Captain Jake Morrison looked out the big window of his spaceship and felt his heart beat faster. 3 alien ships hung in space like silver drops of water frozen in time. They had been there for 2 days now, just waiting. The aliens had sent a message saying they wanted to talk, but Jake still felt nervous about the whole thing. The spaceship Horizon's Edge was the best Earth had to offer. It carried 50 of the smartest people humanity could find. Scientists, doctors, engineers, and soldiers all worked together on this mission to explore the galaxy. None of them had expected to meet aliens so soon. Jake walked down the metal hallway toward the main meeting room. His boots made soft sounds on the floor. Other crew members nodded at him as he passed. Everyone looked worried but excited at the same time. This was the biggest moment in human history. Dr. Lisa Grant met him at the door. She was the ship's expert on alien life, though she had never actually seen any aliens before today. Her brown hair was messy from working all night, and her eyes were red from lack of sleep. "They want to come aboard in 1 hour," she said. "I've set up all our recording equipment. We need to document everything," Jake nodded. "How many of them?" "Just 3. Their leader calls herself Ambassador Kira. The other 2 seem to be helpers or guards." "What do they look like?" Lisa smiled for the first time in days. "You won't believe it. They're small, maybe 4 feet tall. They look almost human, but with silver skin that shines like metal. Their eyes are purple and much bigger than ours. They're actually quite beautiful." Commander Alex Parker joined them. He was Jake's second in command and his best friend since their days in the Space Academy. Alex was always calm in dangerous situations, which made him perfect for this job. "The security team is ready," Alex said. "But honestly, if they wanted to hurt us, they could have done it already. Their ships are way more advanced than ours." Jake looked at both of his friends. "This changes everything for humanity. Whatever happens today will be remembered forever." An hour later, a small shuttle appeared from one of the alien ships. It moved without making any sound and landed in their cargo bay so gently it seemed to float down like a feather. Jake, Lisa, and Alex went to meet their visitors. The cargo bay doors opened with a soft hiss. 3 figures walked out, and Jake had to stop himself from staring. Dr. Grant had been right about their beauty. The aliens moved with perfect grace, like dancers performing a careful routine. Ambassador Kira stepped forward. She wore a simple white outfit that seemed to glow with its own light. When she spoke, her voice was like music. "Captain Morrison, we are honored to meet you. I am Kira of the Zilani people. We have traveled very far to find your species." Jake tried to stay professional, but his voice shook a little. "Welcome aboard the Horizon's Edge, Ambassador. We're excited to learn about your people." Kira smiled, showing teeth that were perfectly white and straight. "We have much to discuss. May we sit somewhere comfortable? What we have to tell you will take some time." They went to the main conference room. The aliens sat across from the humans at a long metal table. Jake noticed that Kira kept looking at him with her big purple eyes, as if she was studying him. "Carefully, your species interests us greatly," Kira began. "We have been watching your world for many years. Your television signals, your radio broadcasts, your internet communications. We know much about humanity already." Dr. Grant leaned forward. "You've been watching us? For how long?" 60 of your years. We wanted to understand you before making contact. Your species is very unusual compared to others we have met." Alex frowned. "Unusual how?" Kira exchanged looks with her 2 companions. "Most intelligent species we encounter are either very logical or very emotional. Humans are both at the same time. You make decisions with your hearts and your minds together. This is rare in the galaxy." Jake felt a chill run down his back. Something about the way she said it made him nervous. "Why is that important to you?" "Because we have been searching for a species exactly like yours. The Zilani have traveled the galaxy for thousands of years looking for our perfect partners." The word partners hung in the air like a question mark. Jake didn't like the sound of it. Dr. Grant asked, "Partners for what?" Kira's smile grew wider. "For the future of both our species. We believe humans and Zelani can create something wonderful together, something better than either of us could be alone. Jake felt his muscles tense up. What exactly are you suggesting? All will be explained in time, Captain. For now, we would like to meet more of your crew. We want to get to know individual humans, not just your species as a whole. Over the next few hours, small groups of aliens came aboard the ship. They spoke with different crew members, asking personal questions about their lives, their families, their dreams and fears. They seemed most interested in things like personality and emotions rather than human technology or science. Engineer Ben Collins came to Jake later that day looking confused. Captain, the alien I talked to asked me weird questions. She wanted to know about my childhood, my relationships, even my favorite foods. It felt more like a job interview than a diplomatic meeting. Dr. Kate Wilson, the ship's doctor, had a similar experience. They asked for samples of my hair and saliva. They said it was for compatibility testing but wouldn't explain what that meant. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Kira's words about finding their perfect partners. Something felt wrong, but he couldn't figure out what. The aliens seemed friendly and peaceful, but their interest in individual humans rather than humanity as a whole bothered him. He got up and went to the observation deck. Through the window, he could see the alien ships still waiting in space. They looked beautiful, but somehow threatening at the same time. Tomorrow, Kira had promised, they would explain everything. Jake hoped he would like what he heard, but deep in his heart, he suspected he would not. The next morning brought more alien ships. Jake watched from the bridge as 12 more vessels appeared out of nowhere, surrounding the human ship like wolves circling prey. Each ship was bigger than the last, and they all had the same silver color that seemed to shift and change in the starlight. Ambassador Kira requested another meeting in the main conference room. This time she brought 5 other Zelani with her. Jake noticed they all carried small crystal devices that hummed with energy and showed swirling patterns of light. Captain Morrison, Kira said as everyone sat down, today we will share the real reason we have come to find humanity. Jake felt his stomach tighten. I'm listening. Kira touched her crystal device, and suddenly the air above the table filled with moving pictures made of light. The images showed planets, stars, and creatures Jake had never seen before. The Zelani are an old race, she began. We have existed for 7,000 of your years. We have built great cities, traveled to distant worlds, and learned the secrets of the universe. But we have one problem that we cannot solve alone. Dr. Grant watched the light pictures with wide eyes. What kind of problem? We are dying out, Kira said simply. Not from disease or war, but because we cannot have children anymore. Our species has become too perfect, too pure. We need new genetic material to survive. The room became very quiet. Jake could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. For centuries, we have searched the galaxy for another intelligent species that could help us. We have found many races, but none were right. Some were too different from us. Others were too similar, but humans are perfect. Alex shifted in his chair. Perfect for what exactly? Kira's purple eyes lit up with excitement. For joining with us. Human genes mixed with Zelani genes will create children stronger and smarter than either species alone. These children will have abilities that neither humans nor Zelani possess. Jake felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. You want to breed with us? Breeding is such a simple word, Kira said. What we propose is evolution, enhancement, the creation of a new species that will inherit the best of both worlds. Dr. Wilson, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. What happens to humanity in this process? Humanity becomes something greater. Kira replied. Your children will live longer, think faster, and have powers you cannot imagine. They will be able to travel between stars without ships and speak with their minds across vast distances. But they won't be human anymore, Jake said. Kira tilted her head like she didn't understand why that was a problem. They will be better than human. The crystal device projected new images showing tall, graceful beings with silver skin and human features. They move through space without protection and seem to glow with inner light. These are projections of what our children might look like, Kira explained. Beautiful, powerful, and wise beyond anything either of our species has achieved alone. Engineer Ben Collins, who had joined the meeting, raised his hand. What if we say no? For the first time, Kira's smile faded a little. Why would you say no to becoming something greater? Because maybe we like being human, Ben replied. The other Zilani exchanged looks that Jake didn't like. Their purple eyes seemed to grow darker. Kira touched her device again, and the images changed to show Earth from space. We have studied your planet carefully. You face many problems there. War, disease, hunger, pollution. Your species may not survive another 1,000 years without help. So you're saying we don't have a choice, Alex said. You have the choice to join us willingly or to face extinction on your own, Kira answered. We prefer willing partners, but the galaxy needs what we can create together. Dr. Grant leaned forward. How exactly would this process work? Each human will be paired with a compatible Zilani partner. We have already analyzed your crew and determined the best matches. The bonding process involves sharing genetic material and mental patterns. It is painless and creates a permanent connection between partners. Jake felt sick. You've already decided who goes with who? Kira nodded happily. Captain Morrison, you have been matched with me. Our compatibility rating is 97%, which is the highest we have ever recorded. Together we could produce children capable of leading both our species into a glorious future. The thought of being forced to bond with this alien, no matter how beautiful she was, made Jake's skin crawl. He looked around the table at his crew and saw the same horror in their faces. What about our families back on Earth? Dr. Wilson asked. Our husbands, wives, children. They will be processed in due time, Kira said, as if she was talking about shipping packages. The entire human population will eventually be integrated into our breeding program. It may take several generations, but we have patience. Jake stood up so fast his chair fell over. You're talking about enslaving our entire species. We prefer the term partnership, one of the other Zilani said. Humans will retain their individual personalities and memories. They will simply be enhanced and given purpose. The purpose of making babies for you, Alex said angrily. The purpose of evolution, Kira corrected. This is how species advance in the galaxy. The weak join with the strong to become something new. It is natural law. Jake walked to the window and looked out at the alien ships. There were even more now, at least 20 vessels of various sizes. Earth's entire space fleet couldn't fight even one of them. How long do we have to decide? He asked. The bonding process begins in 3 days, Kira announced. We have prepared special chambers on our ships where the genetic integration will take place. I am very excited to begin our life together, Captain Morrison. The way she said it made Jake want to punch something. This creature was talking about destroying humanity's future like she was planning a picnic. I need time to discuss this with my crew, Jake said. Of course. But please understand that this decision affects more than just the people on this ship. We have already sent messages to Earth informing your governments of our arrival and intentions. Soon, all of humanity will know that their evolution is about to begin. After the aliens left, Jake sat alone in the conference room with his head in his hands. Everything they had dreamed about regarding first contact with aliens had turned into a nightmare. These weren't peaceful explorers or wise teachers. They were slave masters with pretty faces and advanced technology. Dr. Grant came back into the room and sat beside him. Jake, I've been thinking about what they said. From a scientific standpoint, what they're proposing might actually work. The genetic combination could produce remarkable results. Jake looked at her in shock. Lisa, they want to turn us into breeding stock. I know how it sounds, but maybe we should consider the benefits. If humanity is really facing extinction. Anyway, this might be our only chance to survive in some form. In some form, yes, but not as humans. Lisa was quiet for a moment. Is being human more important than surviving? It was a question Jake couldn't answer. All he knew was that something deep inside him rebelled against the idea of giving up without a fight. Humans had always fought against impossible odds. It's what made them human in the first place. Jake called a secret meeting in the ship's storage room at midnight. He had asked only his most trusted crew members to come. The room was dark except for a single emergency light, and everyone spoke in whispers. "We can't let this happen, engineer," Ben Collins said right away. His face was red with anger. "They're treating us like animals in a zoo." Dr. Kate Wilson nodded. "I've been studying the biological data they shared with us. What they're calling enhancement is actually complete genetic restructuring. The resulting children would have human memories but alien biology. They wouldn't even be able to live on Earth anymore." Commander Alex Parker looked around the group. "So we're all agreed that this is wrong. The question is, what can we do about it? They have 20 ships out there, and we have one." "We could try to run," suggested Lieutenant Carl Brown, the ship's pilot. "Make a jump to hyperspace before they can stop us." Jake shook his head. "They'd catch us in minutes. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Plus, running wouldn't save Earth or the rest of humanity." Dr. Grant, who had been quiet, finally spoke. "I hate to say this, but maybe we should think practically. If we can't fight them and we can't run, maybe cooperation is our only option." The room erupted in angry whispers. Ben Collins stood up and pointed at her. "Lisa, they want to end our species. How is that cooperation?" "They say they want to improve our species," she replied. "And they might be right about humanity facing extinction anyway. Climate change, nuclear weapons, overpopulation. Maybe this is actually a rescue mission." "A rescue mission where we lose everything that makes us human," Alex said. "Our free will, our right to choose our own destiny, our independence. That's not rescue, that's conquest." Jake held up his hand for quiet. "Lisa makes a point we need to consider. But I keep thinking about something else. Kira said they've been searching for thousands of years for the right species to partner with. What happened to all the other species they found before us?" The question hung in the air like a bad smell. Nobody wanted to think about the answer. Dr. Wilson spoke carefully. "In their data files, I noticed references to something called failed integrations and genetic incompatibility incidents. They didn't explain what those terms meant." "Maybe we don't want to know," Carl said. Jake made his decision. "We need more information before we do anything. Lisa, I want you to keep studying their technology and biology. Look for weaknesses. Ben, start working on ways to boost our ship's defenses, even if it seems hopeless. Kate, keep analyzing their genetic data. Maybe you can find something they missed. What about you?" Alex asked. "I'm going to keep talking to Kira. Maybe I can learn something useful, or at least buy us more time." The next day, Jake met with Ambassador Kira in the ship's garden. It was a small room filled with plants from Earth, and Kira seemed fascinated by the green growing things. "Your species has such a beautiful relationship with other life forms," she said, touching a rose with one silver finger. "This is another reason why humans are perfect for us. Zilani lost the ability to appreciate simple beauty long ago." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. Kira looked sad for the first time since he had met her. "When a species becomes too advanced, too perfect, they sometimes lose important things. We no longer feel wonder at a sunset or joy at the sound of music. We think clearly and act logically, but we have forgotten how to dream. And you think bonding with humans will bring that back? We hope so. Human emotions are so strong, so pure. When we join our minds with yours, we will remember what it feels like to truly live instead of just existing." Jake felt a strange mixture of pity and anger. "But what about what humans lose in the process?" "You lose nothing important," Kira said. "Fear, hatred, jealousy, violence. These negative emotions will be filtered out during the bonding. You will keep love, joy, curiosity, and creativity. Who decides what's negative and what's positive?" Kira looked confused by the question. "Logic decides, obviously. What about anger when someone you love is threatened?" What about the fear that keeps us alive in dangerous situations? What about the stubbornness that makes us keep trying when everyone says we should give up? These are primitive survival traits that advanced beings do not need. Jake stared at her. Those traits are what make us human, and they are what we will help you evolve beyond. That evening, the crew members Jake had talked to began reporting their findings. Dr. Wilson had discovered something disturbing in the genetic data. The Zilani aren't just looking for breeding partners, she said during another secret meeting. They're looking for genetic material to save their dying race. But here's the scary part. The process isn't reversible. Once a human bonds with a Zilani, their original genetic structure is destroyed. They can never go back to being purely human. Ben Collins had been working on the ship's weapon systems. I can't make us strong enough to fight them, but I might be able to create enough interference to disrupt their communications. If we could stop them from coordinating their ships, we might have a chance to escape. Escape to where? Alex asked. They know where Earth is. Dr. Grant had made the most interesting discovery. I've been studying their technology, and I think I found something important. The Zilani rely heavily on logical, predictable systems. Their computers, their ships, even their society follows perfect mathematical patterns. They're not used to dealing with chaos or random events. Jake felt a spark of hope. What are you saying? I'm saying that their greatest strength might also be their greatest weakness. They can't handle true unpredictability. Everything they do is planned and calculated. They probably have no idea how to deal with someone who acts completely irrationally. Like humans do all the time, Alex said with a grin. Exactly. We make decisions based on emotion, intuition, and random chance. Things no logical system can predict or counter. Jake stood up and walked around the room. An idea was forming in his mind, crazy and dangerous, but maybe their only chance. What if we don't try to fight them or run from them? He said slowly, what if we do something they would never expect? Such as? What if we volunteer to go first, but then do something so completely insane that it breaks their entire system? Ben frowned. That sounds like suicide. Maybe, or maybe it's the most human thing we could do. Fight back in a way they can't understand or predict. Dr. Wilson looked worried. Jake, these beings have technology that could destroy Earth. If we make them angry, they might decide humans are too dangerous to keep alive. Or they might decide we're too interesting to give up on, Jake replied. Either way, we go down fighting instead of just giving up. Alex clapped his friend on the shoulder. It's a terrible plan with almost no chance of success. So you're in? Of course I'm in. When has that ever stopped us before? One by one, the others agreed to help. Even Dr. Grant, despite her earlier doubts, decided that the right to choose was more important than the promise of perfection. All right, Jake said. Tomorrow we start acting like the crazy, unpredictable humans we are. Let's show these aliens what they're really trying to capture. Outside the ship, the Zilani fleet waited patiently in perfect formation, completely unaware that the humans were about to teach them a lesson about the dangers of underestimating a species that had never learned when to quit. Jake walked into the conference room the next morning with a smile on his face that worried Ambassador Kira immediately. She had spent enough time studying humans to know that this particular expression usually meant trouble. Good morning, Ambassador, Jake said cheerfully. I've made my decision about your offer. Kira's purple eyes lit up with excitement. Wonderful. I knew you would see the wisdom in joining with us. Oh, I want to join with you all right, Jake said. But I have some conditions. The other Zilani in the room exchanged glances. They had not expected conditions from what they considered a primitive species. What kind of conditions? Kira asked carefully. First, I want to see exactly how this bonding process works. Not just descriptions or projections, but the actual equipment and procedures that can be arranged. Second, I want to choose which crew members participate first. We humans like to do things our own way. Kira frowned slightly. We have already calculated the optimal pairings based on genetic compatibility. I'm sure you have. But humans don't make decisions based only on logic. We use emotions, instincts, and sometimes we just flip a coin. You want to bond with us, you need to understand how we really work. Jake pulled out an old Earth coin and flipped it in the air. It spun and caught the light before he grabbed it and slapped it on the table. Heads, he announced. That means Dr. Grant goes first instead of me. The Zilani stared at the coin like it was some kind of alien artifact, which Jake realized it probably was to them. You make important decisions by random chance? One of them asked. Sometimes. It's called intuition, gut feelings, going with the flow. Very human concepts. Kira looked confused but tried to stay diplomatic. If you prefer Dr. Grant to be first, we can accommodate that request. Great, but I also want to observe the entire process, along with Dr. Wilson, our medical expert. That is highly irregular. The bonding chambers are designed for privacy and concentration, Jake shrugged. Then I guess we're at an impasse. You see, Ambassador, humans don't like secrets. We want to know exactly what we're getting into. If you can't show us the process, then maybe this partnership isn't going to work after all. For the first time since meeting her, Jake saw uncertainty in Kira's eyes. The Zilani had planned for resistance, escape attempts, even violence. They had not planned for humans who wanted to cooperate but demanded to do it their own strange way. I will need to consult with my superiors, Kira said. Take your time. We're not going anywhere. After the aliens left, Dr. Grant cornered Jake. In the hallway, what are you doing? I didn't agree to be the test subject for your crazy plan. Trust me, Lisa, I'm not actually going to let them bond with you. But I need them to start the process so we can see how their technology works. And then what? Then we improvise. The most human thing possible. 3 hours later, Kira returned with permission to show the humans their bonding chambers. The entire crew was invited to tour the alien ships, which Jake knew was meant to impress them with Zilani power and technology. The ships were amazing. Corridors that glowed with soft light, rooms that changed shape based on who was using them, and technology that seemed to work by thought alone. But Jake noticed something important. Everything was perfectly organized, symmetrical, and logical. There was no decoration, no personal touches, no sign that individuals had ever lived in these spaces. The bonding chamber was a round room with 2 chairs facing each other. Above the chairs hung a complex array of crystals and metal devices that hummed with energy. The process is quite simple, Kira explained. 2 beings sit in the chairs while the neural interface maps their mental patterns and genetic structures. The bonding creates a permanent psychic link and begins the gradual genetic integration. Dr. Wilson studied the equipment with professional interest. How long does it take? The initial bonding requires only minutes. Full integration takes several months, but the subjects remain conscious and aware throughout. What does it feel like? Dr. Grant asked. Like becoming whole for the first time in your life, Kira said with genuine emotion. The loneliness ends. You are never alone again because you share thoughts and feelings with your bonded partner. Jake looked around the chamber and noticed something odd. Where are the safety controls? What if something goes wrong? Nothing goes wrong? The process has been perfected over thousands of years. But what if someone changes their mind in the middle? What if they want to stop? Kira looked puzzled. Why would they want to stop becoming better than they were? Dr. Wilson pointed to some of the equipment. I don't see any monitoring devices. How do you track vital signs during the procedure? Monitoring is unnecessary. The neural interface handles all biological functions automatically. Jake and his crew exchanged looks. The Zilani had built a system so perfect and automated that it had no safeguards, no manual overrides, and no way to handle unexpected situations. Well, Jake said, if Dr. Grant is ready, I suppose we should begin. Lisa took a deep breath and sat in one of the chairs. A Zilani technician began activating the equipment while Kira sat in the other chair. The crystals above them started to glow brighter. Now, Jake whispered to Ben Collins. Ben had been carrying a small device hidden in his jacket. When he activated it, Every piece of electronic equipment on the ship suddenly started playing Earth music at full volume. But not just any music. Ben had chosen the most chaotic, unpredictable, emotionally intense music he could find. Heavy metal mixed with jazz, mixed with children's lullabies, mixed with nature sounds, the neural interface, designed to read and process ordered thought patterns, went haywire trying to make sense of the random noise flooding the ship's systems. Alarms began ringing. Lights flashed in no particular pattern. The bonding chamber's equipment sparked and smoked. "What is happening?" Kira shouted over the noise. "Human technology," Jake yelled back. "It doesn't always work the way it's supposed to." Dr. Grant jumped out of her chair as sparks began flying from the crystals above. "I think we should leave." Excellent idea. Alex agreed. The humans ran for the exit while Zelani technicians frantically tried to shut down their malfunctioning systems. But Ben's device had infected their computer networks with something they had never encountered before. Pure, random, human chaos. As they made it back to their own ship, Jake could see Zelani vessels throughout the fleet flickering with electrical problems. Their perfectly ordered systems were crashing one by one as they tried to process the impossible. Contradiction of organized randomness that human music represented. "How long will this last?" Dr. Wilson asked as they sealed the airlocks. "Not long enough," Ben replied. "But it proves the point. Their technology can't handle true unpredictability." Jake went to the bridge and activated the ship's communication system. If they were going to make a stand, the whole galaxy should know about it. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Horizon's Edge," he broadcast on all frequencies. "We are a small ship from a young species, but we carry an important message. No race has the right to force evolution on another. No technology, no matter how advanced, gives anyone the right to take away free choice." On the screens, he could see Zelani's ships starting to recover from the electronic chaos. They would be angry now, and their next move might not be as gentle as their first, but Jake felt proud of what his crew had accomplished. They had shown the galaxy that humans would not go quietly into slavery, no matter how pretty the chains or how logical the arguments. "Ambassador Kira," he said into the communicator, "if you want to try again, we're ready for you. But remember, humans fight dirtier when they're cornered." The response came immediately. Kira's voice was no longer musical and friendly. It was cold and hard as metal. "Captain Morrison, you have made a serious mistake. We offered you partnership. Now you will learn what conquest feels like." The Zelani attack came within minutes. Energy beams lanced out from their ships, but instead of trying to destroy the human vessel, they seemed designed to disable it. Jake realized they still wanted humans alive for their breeding program. "Shields." "Holding," reported Lieutenant Carl Brown from the pilot station. "But not for long." "Ben, give me everything you've got," Jake ordered. Engineer Collins had been working frantically at his station. "Launching Chaos Package 2? This time, instead of music, Ben flooded the Zelani network with human internet data. Millions of videos, social media arguments, memes, random photos, and the complete works of human literature all transmitted at once in no particular order. The effect was even more dramatic than before. Zelani ships began moving erratically as their navigation systems tried to process the information overload. Several vessels actually collided with each other, their perfect formation falling apart like a house of cards, but Jake knew this was only a temporary victory. "How long before they adapt to our interference?" "Maybe an hour," Ben replied. "Their systems are already starting to filter out the chaos." Dr. Wilson was monitoring alien communications. "They're calling for reinforcements, a lot of reinforcements." Through the bridge windows, Jake could see more ships appearing in space around them. Dozens, then hundreds of Zelani vessels emerged from hyperspace. The human ship was now surrounded by an entire fleet. "Captain," Alex said quietly, "I think we're about to find out what happened to those other species they mentioned." But then something unexpected happened. A new voice came over the communication system, speaking in accented but clear English. "Human vessel, this is Captain Thorne of the independent ship Wanderer. We received your transmission and find it most interesting. Jake looked at his crew in surprise. This is Captain Morrison. Who are you? We are traders and explorers from the Corval system. We have had our own encounters with the Zilani and their breeding programs. Perhaps we could be of assistance. On the main screen, a new ship appeared. It was smaller than the Zilani vessels but looked tough and well-armed. Behind it came others, ships of different designs and origins. How many of you are there? Jake asked. At last count, 37 ships from 12 different species. Word travels fast in this sector when someone stands up to the Zilani. Ambassador Kira's voice cut through the chatter. This is a private matter between the Zilani and humanity. Other species should not interfere. Captain Thorne laughed, and it was not a pleasant sound. Private matter? You tried to breed with my species too about 50 years ago. Half my people are still recovering from your improvements. Another voice joined the conversation. This is Commander Zara of the Nexus Coalition. The Zilani destroyed 3 colonies in our system when we refused their partnership offer. More voices added their own stories of Zilani encounters. Jake began to understand that his small human ship had stumbled into something much bigger than first contact. This was a rebellion that had been building for decades. Captain Morrison, came another transmission. This is Admiral Chun of the Earth Defense Force. Jake nearly fell out of his chair. Admiral Chun, how are you here? We received your earlier transmission and immediately launched our fastest ships. We're still 3 days out, but we wanted you to know that Earth stands behind you. Dr. Grant was working at her science station. Captain, I'm detecting massive hyperspace distortions. More ships are arriving every minute. The space around the horizon's edge had become crowded with vessels from across the galaxy. Some were warships, others were merchant vessels, and a few looked like they were